Welcome to Reader's Guide to Chaos. This is a podcast left on read. I am Hiya.
I'm Moksha.
I'm Shreeya.
I'm Diya.
Okay, so today I'm going to be hosting our podcast. There's a lot of things that I've been wanting to talk about because personally, okay, let's say today is February 21st. It's a little late, but February is the month of love. And I mean, like a week ago, Valentine's Day went. So today we're going to be talking about love. Well, not really, because, none of us are experts in it, but
We would not love to give any of recommendations or any tips.
please don't listen to anything that we're saying. Don't take this as a suggestion, please.
No, we need views. Huh? People should listen to our
Listen
podcast.
to us, but don't take
Follow us.
Don't actually use our suggestions. Anyways, so my first question is, what is your favorite romantic story or romantic book, or like if you haven't read that many, then your favorite rom-com?
Can it be a couple?
Sure.
Okay, so it's not a romantic comedy per se because it's just a comedy series, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine has the iconic couple Jake and Amy, and I personally feel like their dynamic is just it like they fit together so well. Like both of them are such opposite people in hindsight, but when you see it, like on surface level they're very different, but once you see them share this unique bond, you get to see how similar they are with their tastes and everything. And like if those two had a sequel to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I would love to watch that.
I agree. They are also like one of my favorite couples in that industry. Their relationship as a whole, like the way it progressed, was very wholesome. But as for romantic novels, I haven't read as many, but I would like to read more. I mean, same. I mean, I've read a few of them, not too many. But the thing is that I'm just in love with the entire like romantic stories or romantic novel thing. It makes you feel happy.
It's
Like,
it's
hey, it's
very
my
cute. It's very
Yeah.
cute.
And it's like one of the genres, like we've talked about how we've read a lot of dark books or books that end with tragic endings, but we haven't particularly read a lot of books that are happy. So I think we should definitely in the future read more romantic novels, because I think that's one of the popular genres that has quite a few times like happy endings. It can also be tragic, but like I just remembered, even Anne with an E is a romantic book. Like I like, it's not romantic in entirely because it's a lot about Anne's journey in finding herself also, but her relationship, I don't remember his name, but there was a Netflix spin.
Gilbert.
Yes,
It's
like
Gilbert and Anne, and I am obsessed with those two.
So this like conversation reminded me of like how while we were choosing this month's book, we were like between two strong contenders, and we went with one of the books, and I felt bad. Like that was like my favorite tweet cute. I wanted to read that so bad. And so it's like, if I really want to read more romance novels, then there's always a next time. Never say never. But it is a cheesy episode, so why not? Of course.
I mean, love is cheesy on many levels. Like there are, I have seen shows, I have read like, one or two books where there are, explicitly, showing that they are showing affection to each other in like giving roses and everything. That is fine. But after a point when they converse and then, things become way too cheesy for me because I'm like, this is too much. I cannot handle this much. I'll die of diabetes. I don't need this much flowery language.
Okay.
So like this
that kind of brings me to my next question, which is, do you think that like romance, like romantic novels or the TV shows that you've talked about, have they like increased the standards a little too high? Like, are they setting unrealistic standards for love?
Ultimate example, Disney. Like, hands down, the most dramatic proposals, the most dramatic weddings, the most dramatic
100%.
first kisses. Disney has
And
all of it.
even the idea of a happily ever after, it wasn't until a few years that I realized that that was not a thing. Like, it just does not end there. And I'm like, you have ruined me, because Disney sort of conditioned us in a way to think that you'll once all of you get over those struggles, it's just a perfect world. And I'm like, yeah, that's not true.
Even with the typical story of, the girl where the girl is poor and the boy is rich, and then the girl struggles, and then the boy and the girl get together, and then their families tear them apart, but then they fight for it, and then they get back together, and then they have a happy ending, and they have kids and all that drama. Like,
And yeah, like
You
some
know, the plot sounds a lot like Crazy Rich Asians.
yeah. I was thinking about that while talking about it, but I didn't say anything.
I was thinking of that Hindi movie, I don't remember, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, because that's also the same plot.
See, it is so typical. Like these, I
Like,
know.
they're gonna end up together, but
And you can't
sometimes
really predict them, like what is going to happen next. That just
Exactly. And like
ruins the
when
whole.
and when I was little, I always felt like there is going to be a Prince Charming waiting at my doorstep, waiting for me to say yes to him. Like he's ready with the roses, the ring, and everything, and flying doves. And I'll just say yes. And I'll have like, my happily ever after till a point where I realized that doesn't happen anymore.
but I think, aside from that, it also puts a lot of pressure in situations when one has to choose themselves over their partner, because then you start doubting yourself and feeling guilty, like, do you not love the person enough, is it your fault? Which I also think is a little problematic, because one should always be able to choose themselves before the other.
And honestly, looking at, the general trend of media nowadays, I feel like a lot of shows are, garnering towards self-love more and,
Mhm.
showing that, a relationship is not entirely everything your life should be based on, because a lot of the times that is how, it is like there was a very recent Netflix movie which had Zora from like Disney. I don't know her entire name. And so she was just basically a hairdresser, and the person whom she was going to do, all of the hair things to falls in love with her, but she, rather chooses to be on her own and, discover herself and have this like self journey rather than being in a relationship with him. But well, it was a movie and it was very cliche, so then they fall in love and you know the
Wait,
story.
are you talking about the royal treatment?
Yeah, I guess. I
Yeah, okay,
guess.
you're talking about the
And
royal
it
treatment.
literally ends with the guy coming from some random ass place in the middle of nowhere, riding to her house in New York on a horse.
Oh my
On
god.
a horse in New York.
I said cheesy is good, but cheese also gives you cholesterol, so maybe stay away from it.
But I mean, talking about happily ever afters and Disney in specific, like I think at one point Disney kind of realized that like their princess movies, specifically like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or stuff like that, they realized that they've made mistakes. So for Cinderella, I remember, I don't know whether you guys have seen these or not, but there are two movies after Cinderella.
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Like they're trying to like um tell no, it's not exactly a happily ever after. Then she still faces problems living in that castle in
Like
Purple Heights.
Cinderella came, then there was Cinderella 2, and there was Cinderella 3 also, where we
Yeah, I
see her
know.
sister struggles.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, well, they do have a happily ever after, but then she also has problems. And after that, she has a happily ever after. So it's like, it's not really proving their point at the end, but
But I do think that maybe that was not the smartest move, but I do think they're getting better at it, because if you look at the movies that are coming out now from Disney, they're very much more diverse in terms of like the types of characters, the types of stories they're choosing to telling. And like it's not always just like a girl falling in love with Prince Charming, which I think is really good. And I see like these angry tweets are from millennials and people older than that, and I'm like, yeah, they're not making the movies you liked when you were younger. Get over it. Why are you crying over a children's
Best
movie?
example. Like till Tangled, I would say it was very cliche, romantic, girl falls in love with a guy. Then came Frozen. And that movie has my entire heart because we see two sisters going in two different directions. Like Anna meeting a guy for the first time and then being like, okay, I'm going to get engaged. And Elsa going on this, self-love journey where she discovers her powers and feels more powerful with it. And then we have Moana right after that. And I was like so happy looking at those films because I was probably like 10, 12 years old. And from looking at Cinderella and Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and all of those movies, and then seeing this was very, very refreshing. Like even Raya and the Last Dragon, it was nothing about a guy. It was a girl trying to save her entire village, trying to save whatever is left.
And the
And that's so
universe
powerful.
and Earth.
And Encanto also.
Yeah.
Even Coco.
And like Frozen was like the first Disney movie to show that you don't need men to help you fight, like literally.
No,
The first Disney
One
movie
of the
in
points
2013.
sorry, I dispute.
Yeah.
I think the first movie was Mulan, not Frozen.
But Mulan did have that entire aspect of like her
I'm
falling
talking
in
about
love.
falling in love.
Okay.
In Frozen, Anna fell in love with Hans, but then she learned that he is a fraud and he's wicked and evil, and so she rose on her own, like that sort of a thing. Like that was the first movie in 2013.
Like the
when
second
she got-
movie shows her actual growth, like how she's
Yeah.
grown as a character and everything. But the first movie is just she's just too desperate, which is
So I was saying that in Frozen, one of the best, like what I loved about it was that at one point, like the trolls are like, her true love is gonna save her, or like the true love, and then we're all like expecting it to be either Kristoff or Hans or someone, and in the end, it's like sisterly love. It's not like you have to fall in love. So it's like there can be love of different kinds. Like it doesn't have to be.
love transcends all boundaries.
Okay, so my next question is, it's like related to our, like we're all in high school right now. So you've seen in that, like around us we have seen people dating, and that's completely fine. But do you think that people should normalize not dating in high school?
Well, I have a very small answer to that because I don't know why I have this mentality or I have this like ingrained in me that if you are spending so much time with someone who is not going to be beneficial for you in the longer run and it's going to, cause you more problems rather than helping you, I don't think I want to waste that much time on one person. I'd rather do my homework or I'd rather do, something great for my college applications than write cheesy ass messages to someone saying, oh my God, I love you and you'll always be there for me forever.
I think that covers it.
Okay, no, some of it is true, but I won't do my homework, okay? Instead of doing that. See, college application is okay, but not my homework.
So I think if it happens, it should happen naturally, not like
I've seen people be like, I'm mad that like my friends all have dates on Valentine's and I don't. And I'm like, you have so many people and you're dating someone. And it's like, yeah, I get that it's kind of sad that you don't have a date on Valentine's. But it's not something that you should be like, oh my God, I should find someone right this instant just to prove a point that I can find someone too.
Like it's not a big deal, like it's fine, it's okay, like it's your own life, you can live however you want, you don't have to copy others just so that you can look cool and like.
Okay, so my last question is, we talked about our favorite rom-coms and like romantic novels. What is your least favorite? Because I know a lot of us have a lot of opinions about this, so I need to know what is your least favorite, or even your like least favorite trope or least favorite kind of like entire story, whatever.
so. Okay, I'll say my least favorite trope. It's like the ugly duckling trope. Like, it's over. You need to get over it. There would be this girl who would wear glasses and have her hair tied and was kind of a nerd. So she was not pretty. Not even like I said because of she's all that. It was she's a very the actress is in general like a very conventionally pretty girl. But just because she was wearing glasses or had her hair tied or was a nerd, she was like, oh, she's ugly, she's an outcast. But like in the end scene, when they gave her makeover and she was wearing a tight dress, which is something that's very unlike her, she's all of a sudden pretty. And I, to that, at that time, I thought it was fine. But when they made the recap, not the recap, what am I saying? When they made He's All That, I was just like, you need to get over this. And I saw the movie, but I had to stop because it was not that great. Like
You're
Addison Rae
telling me
is
you
not.
saw a movie that starred Addison Rae.
That's why I watched it. I was like, is she actually good? She's not. Like she has one expression throughout the movie. And to my point, it's not the only movie like that. There are other movies too, like Princess Diaries. Like she goes through the whole transformation. She's also just like a girl wearing glasses with a bad hairstyle, but they give her a makeover and she's a completely different person. She gets a boyfriend, and I'm just like, you don't need to do that. But in a way, I feel like that's playing on people's insecurities, or like, portraying this idea that even though you might be not someone popular, there's a chance for you to become that way.
And then there are very weird opposites like Tall Girl, where there is an already pretty person who is insecure about their height for some reason, which is not even that long. Like she's a very like normal average height, like she has a very normal average height, and like she's described as this big outcast just because she is a bit taller than others, and she's a very pretty person. She's a model as well, and then she gets a makeover. Like, how unrealistic do you want us to look like the second we get out of the houses? Do you want us to look like Instagram filters? Because how, like, it makes no sense after a point. Like, rather than showing people that you need to love yourself, they are just showing that you need to be a certain way, you need to act a certain way, just so that people can like you, and just so that if people like you, from that validation you can love yourself or like yourself.
So yeah, it's a very mixed message. It's like saying you should love yourself, but if you only fit into XYZ box, then you will be able to love yourself. And like, to the movie I was talking about, She's All That, she was someone who was very happy. She is into art, and I think she was performing arts and was a really good painter and doing all of that. But
she was happy on her own.
Yeah,
like, if nobody would have bothered her, she could have lived her life without that jerk guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, the movie that I did not like was Kissing Booth, because it is messed up on so many levels, and also germs.
Also, but the worst part is people really like that movie. Even Kabir Singh, for that matter. I saw the trailer and I was like, no.
Oh, that was just romanticizing abuse.
Even it was like toxic romance. Like seriously, it was very.
Even in this, to some extent, I felt similar, because Noah as a person is also like abusive, like verbally. I'm not sure if he hit her, but he is verbally abusive, and he does have that toxic masculinity characteristics to him. But there was somehow glamorization of that.
Talking about Noah, the same actor also plays Nate Jacobs in Euphoria. And I would just like to point this out, because I don't want to give any spoilers to anyone who hasn't watched, but the only issue I have with the series so far is that why is romanticizing a character that is so toxic, that is so messed up in the head, as like, if I say it, then I'll give out the spoilers. But basically, like, I know that there are some people who like the adventure, but then there are also people who respect their mental health. It feels like this show is doing neither. And it's just so messed up, because like Nate Jacobs as a character only is bad, and then there are people who are falling for him, and he is making those people even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Even I feel like even that show in particular creates very unrealistic standard of the teenage experience. Like I understand like the drug addiction part and the things.
So for me, it has to be like I love the book, but I don't like the movie as much. That's gonna be Fault in Our Stars. So like if you read the book, it's actually completely different than what the movie is. So like the movie is not shown, as it should have been in the book, like the original book. So that I actually just stopped watching it from the middle. So I haven't finished it yet. So I don't know, but it was not a good experience.
The movie was pretty though. It is like a nice
It was pretty,
afternoon watch.
but from the book how it started, like in the book it just starts that the girl has cancer, and then her mother takes her to this group where she can express herself, and then she meets the boy and everything. But in the book, it starts like more casually in how it should be, like more, I don't know, normally, like originally, like how it,
Organically.
yeah, organically, like how it can start in real life like that. But in the movie it's just straight direct to the dramatic points of the story. So that
I
that
mean, that's the
is what
beauty of a book.
It's
exact.
the movie is very sad. Like even
It
the
is
story in general. Like after Turtles all the way down, I've stopped reading.
Okay, so I've like half watched this movie. It's a Hindi movie. But I mean, every time I start watching it, I kind of stop it after a point. It's like, no, I can't watch this anymore. This is wrong. It's called Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. And every time, like, I watch 20 minutes.
Any 90s to early 2000s movies, I can't watch it full.
No,
I
a
can't.
few of them are like nice, but a lot of them, I mean, this one's like criticizing cheating on someone, and they're two, well, not exactly healthy relationships, but they are two lives that you're ruining. Two innocent people, two couples that, well, aren't happy, but that doesn't mean that you go and cheat on both of them. So that's just, I find that really wrong. Like, if you're romanticizing cheating in any way, then I can't watch it, because you're hurting people. And I hate when, like, the entire thing is like you want to fall in love, you're creating a life and you're making people happy, and this is just like, I'm breaking your heart and I'm breaking your heart too. Why? What's the point?
I will have to check that movie.
Yeah,
Like
I have
now.
not
Yeah,
seen.
but it makes a lot of sense though, because like
Yeah.
you are breaking two people's hearts, and at the end you are proving no points.
Yeah.
And in the end, I think I don't really know exactly whether this is accurate or not, but in the end, neither of them are happy. None of these people are happy. What was the point?
Make us sad. Also, so sorry, but I just remembered something I wanted to add, so I'll say it quickly. When I talked about the ugly duckling trope, I got a little rattled because of the things people said, and I went into a rant. But I also wanted to add that if have you heard of the book Wonder? So, right? So it's about this kid with deformities. And like at one point in his drawing class, his teacher or principal asked him, why do you draw so many ducks? Is it because you want to turn into a swan? And he's like, no. And it just made me so happy. Like, I don't remember if there was a moral to it, but I feel like even if you are an ugly duckling, you should be able to accept it. I'm not saying you have to love it, but you should try to work towards accepting it. And there's nothing wrong with it.
Like I remember the kid wanted to cover his face no matter what when he was going to school, because he was so afraid of getting bullied. But once he gives people some space, once he opens up a bit, he finds his own community, he finds his own little crew of people.
So, such a nice way to end our podcast on a self love note.
So I think that's it for today. And just to wrap up, love yourself. Even if people don't love you, like other people don't love you, you don't find love. Love yourself, because I think that's all that matters.
Like, share, and follow us on Instagram. Stay tuned for more.
Bye.
Bye.